In August 2017, a company called MoviePass announced that anyone in the United States could watch one movie in a theater every day for $9.95 a month. The average price of a movie ticket in the United States at that moment was approximately $9.11. MoviePass was charging less per month than the cost of a single admission. Its plan was to pay the full ticket price on behalf of every subscriber every time they went. Mitch Lowe, the CEO, had run Netflix's DVD operations and co-founded Redbox. He told interviewers the data MoviePass collected from subscribers would eventually generate revenue that justified the losses. The company grew from 20,000 subscribers to 3 million in under a year. Business publications called it the Netflix for theaters. Helios and Matheson Analytics, the publicly traded parent company, saw its stock rise from around $3 to $38 as the subscriber numbers climbed. By September 2019, MoviePass had ceased operations. By January 2020, the parent company had filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy with more than $300 million in liabilities. Both the MoviePass CEO and the chairman of its parent company subsequently pleaded guilty to securities fraud. The collapse looks, from the outside, like a simple case of bad math. What the fraud charges reveal is more specific. The executives knew the $9.95 plan was unsustainable before they launched it. What this video gives you is the exact mechanism they were actually running, and why understanding it changes how you evaluate every startup currently claiming it will monetize data later to justify a product it sells below cost. To understand what MoviePass was attempting, you need to understand the strategy it borrowed, because the strategy itself is not unreasonable. Netflix lost money for years on DVD subscriptions and early streaming while it built a subscriber base. Spotify priced its free tier below cost to lock users into a platform before converting them to paid accounts. Amazon Prime ran at a loss, while Amazon used it to anchor customers who then spent more across the platform. All three of these companies sacrificed short-term profitability for subscriber acquisition, then reached a scale at which the economics changed. The theory is coherent. If you can acquire users cheaply enough, and if owning those users at scale gives you leverage that improves your economics, then losing money today is a rational investment in a better future margin. MoviePass's Mitch Lowe had watched this work at Netflix. He applied it to theaters. The application required one thing to be true: that owning 3 million moviegoers at scale would give MoviePass leverage that changed the economics. Lowe's theory was data and advertising. 3 million subscribers, all using an app, all checking into theaters, all providing viewing habits and demographics. He believed that data would be worth selling to studios, theater chains, and brands. Get big enough, and the data business would cover the ticket subsidy. When I first worked through what MoviePass was paying per active subscriber, I assumed I was reading different data sets. A business that specifically needs its customers to engage less to survive is unusual enough to check twice. The math was right. Every subscriber who watched 2 movies a month was costing MoviePass roughly $8 on the year. Every subscriber who watched 2 movies a week was costing roughly $70. The more loyal the customer, the worse the unit economics. The structural difference between MoviePass and the companies whose playbook it borrowed was this. Netflix's cost per subscriber fell as it grew because it spread fixed content costs across more subscribers. Spotify's cost per subscriber fell because it renegotiated licensing deals from a position of greater market power. Amazon's Prime losses were cross-subsidized by a retail and cloud business that grew alongside the subscription. MoviePass's cost per subscriber didn't change at scale. The company paid full price for every ticket, regardless of how many subscribers it had. Theater chains had no incentive to give MoviePass a discount. MoviePass was giving them full-price customers they would never have charged a premium to serve. The more subscribers MoviePass acquired, the more tickets it had to buy, at the same price, with the same $9.95 coming in the other direction. The data revenue that was supposed to close the gap required capabilities MoviePass didn't have. The DOJ's subsequent fraud charges specifically noted that Farnsworth and Lowe falsely claimed that HMNY possessed and used technologies like big data and artificial intelligence platforms to generate revenue by analyzing and monetizing the data MoviePass collected from subscribers. The DOJ's finding? HMNY did not possess those technologies. MoviePass borrowed a playbook designed for markets where scale changes costs. It applied it to a market where scale changed nothing.
The mechanics of MoviePass were specific. A subscriber opened the MoviePass app, selected a theater and showtime, and the app loaded the purchase price onto a prepaid debit card in their name. They walked to the box office, bought the ticket with the debit card, and MoviePass reimbursed the theater at full price. The subscriber paid $9.95 once a month. MoviePass paid the full ticket price every time they went. By May 2018, regulatory filings by Helios and Matheson revealed that the company was burning through approximately $20 million a month. Later reports put the actual figure closer to $40 million in peak months. At the June 2018 subscriber peak of 3 million, the company had around $15.5 million in cash on hand. Its monthly losses were running at a multiple of its available liquidity. I wanted to know the actual distribution of subscriber usage. What proportion of the 3 million were watching twice a week versus twice a month? The internal behavior data was never released publicly. We know the aggregate burn rate from the regulatory filings. We don't know how many subscribers were subsidizing how many others. The company claimed most users saw fewer movies than expected. The DOJ's case implies the executives knew the burn rate made that irrelevant. The parent company's relationship to MoviePass's losses was not straightforward. Helios and Matheson Analytics was a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. As MoviePass's subscriber numbers grew and the stock price rose, HMNY raised capital through dilutive stock offerings, issuing new shares that diluted existing shareholders while funding MoviePass's operating losses. This created a specific incentive structure. Subscriber growth drove stock price, which enabled more share issuances, which funded more subscriber acquisition, which drove more stock price. The DOJ's indictment alleged that Farnsworth and Lowe knew the $9.95 plan was unsustainable and used it as a temporary marketing gimmick to grow new subscribers and, in turn, artificially inflate HMNY's stock price and attract new investors. HMNY's stock price peaked at around $38 in October 2017, 2 months after the $9.95 plan launched. By July 2018, it had fallen to 7 cents. The company had conducted more than 100 dilutive offerings in the intervening months. MoviePass's subscriber growth was real. The 3 million users existed. What the fraud charges describe is a company that treated that growth as a mechanism for raising capital rather than evidence of a working business. In July 2018, 9 months after the $9.95 plan launched and 1 month after the subscriber peak, MoviePass ran out of money. The app stopped working. Subscribers who went to theaters found that their cards had no funds loaded. The company issued no advance warning and no explanation for the outage. HMNY's response was to take out a $5 million emergency bridge loan to fund the weekend's operations. A company with 3 million paying subscribers was borrowing $5 million to survive 48 hours. The loan kept the service running for that weekend. It changed nothing structurally. The standard reading of MoviePass is that Farnsworth and Lowe were simply too optimistic about an obviously broken business. The DOJ indictment tells a different story. They knew the $9.95 plan was unsustainable. They ran it anyway. The $9.95 subscription was not a business model. It was a mechanism for generating the subscriber growth that inflated HMNY's stock while they raised capital from new investors. The data business was the cover story, not the strategy. That reading is worth sitting with, because it changes the question from how did they not see this coming to what were they actually trying to accomplish? Between August 2017 and September 2019, MoviePass changed its plan 11 times. The changes moved consistently in one direction, making the service less useful in order to reduce ticket spending. Popular films were blocked. Showtimes were restricted. Surge pricing was introduced. Subscribers were required to photograph their physical ticket stub to verify attendance. Then, the app was changed to verify ticket authenticity at point of purchase. Then, changed again. Each change prompted cancellations. Each cancellation reduced subscriber count. Reduced subscriber count reduced the narrative of growth that had supported HMNY's stock price and capital raises. By September 2019, after over a year of plan changes, subscriber count had fallen too far to sustain operations. MoviePass shut down. Its bankruptcy filing cited failed efforts to recapitalize. In January 2020, Helios and Matheson filed for Chapter 7, liquidation, not reorganization. If you find this kind of breakdown useful, subscribing takes 2 seconds, and it means the next video finds you automatically. The loss leader to scale strategy has a specific precondition that its most famous practitioners all share. At some point on the growth curve, something changes structurally that makes each additional subscriber cheaper to serve or more valuable to monetize. For Netflix, it was content licensing leverage. For Spotify, it was label negotiating power. For Amazon Prime, it was the broader retail flywheel. Gym memberships are the simplest illustration of the underlying logic. A gym charges $30 a month, knowing that most members will rarely show up. The people who go every day are cross-subsidized by the people who cancel their gym guilt by direct debit. The model works because the product doesn't actually cost the gym more when members use it frequently. MoviePass's product did. Every additional screening cost MoviePass the full ticket price. There was no version of growth at which that changed. Theater chains weren't going to offer volume discounts on tickets. They had no incentive to give up revenue from customers who were already there. Studios had no interest in subsidizing the subscription. The data business required technology that MoviePass didn't have and, the DOJ concluded, misrepresented to investors.
The irony of MoviePass's collapse is that it proved the market existed. AMC and Regal launched subscription programs directly in response to MoviePass's subscriber growth. Both programs were profitable almost immediately because theater chains, unlike MoviePass, had actual leverage over ticket pricing. AMC's A-List program could set terms that worked because AMC was both the theater operator and the subscription provider. MoviePass was an intermediary with no leverage on either side. The companies that survived in the movie subscription space did so because they had the structural advantage MoviePass lacked. MoviePass created the category. It couldn't survive in it. The loss leader playbook requires that the losses buy something that changes the cost structure. MoviePass's losses bought subscribers. Subscribers bought nothing that changed the cost structure. That's the entire architecture of the failure.
The monetize data later claim is sitting inside most investment decks for loss-making consumer startups. The MoviePass test is not, can they reach scale? It's, what changes at scale that makes the unit economics work? If the answer isn't specific and articulable, the data monetization story is what MoviePass's was. A future story covering an unsustainable present. I think that's the diagnostic worth carrying out of this video. Every time you hear it, ask the specific version of the question. MoviePass tried to run the lose money to acquire users, monetize at scale playbook without two things that playbook requires: enough capital to survive the growth phase and a mechanism by which scale actually improved the economics. It had 13 months of runway. It had no mechanism. Masayoshi Son's Vision Fund was trying to solve both problems at once. $100 billion gave the portfolio companies enough runway to survive years of losses. And Son's specific theory was that his checks were large enough to force market responses that changed the competitive dynamics, to manufacture the structural advantage that MoviePass was hoping to find organically. The next video breaks down exactly how that worked. The specific mechanism by which a fund large enough to distort markets can also be large enough that when the distortion stops, there is no mechanism to slow the fall, and why $32 billion in losses appeared in a single fiscal year the moment the conditions the strategy required ceased to exist.